You're quite a magician when it comes to building pretty UIs, and UI in itself, it's quite underrated in games. What makes UI programming both challenging and fun? And what's the most overlooked part of building a solid UI system in games?
Oh, UI is always overlooked to me. For some reason, it's often like the thing that is treated seriously in the last parts, and there is a big like raise in awareness when it comes to accessibility in games these days. Notably, like Naughty Dog with The Last of Us 2, they made like a pinnacle of accessibility in UI, but also the game altogether. And for that, I wish we could actually like take some responsibility regarding this, like to consider accessibility a bit sooner in the game, sooner the best. And also comes the UI with this, because often the UI gets overlooked, and it's pretty common to have like UI being overlooked. So since it's overlooked, and accessibility often is just fitting in the UI, which is also wrong. Like you don't make accessibility option only for the UI. The whole game should support accessibility, and UI is only one aspect of it, since it's the interface literally between you as a player and the game as, well, a game. So those two topics, UI and accessibility, is kind of not a raising concern to me, but I discovered this topic recently, and I get more and more aware of the flows, often coming from production flows, and also like trying to come up with some insight about how to take it more seriously and sooner as possible. When it comes, though, to the technical challenge of it, often it's not a technical challenge per se. It's more about the understatement of the complexity of the UI in the first place. Same, because often developers may think that UI is just like an interface between what happens in the game and what's happened on the UI. They often take it lightly and think that it's just UI, that it just needs to reflect what's happening in the game on the UI. So yeah, I can see that later and I can make it pretty easily. Which is not true, especially in replicated game. But often, which example I can come with? But often it's mostly a matter of the chain reaction that happens when things happen in game, and the moment you want that change to be reflected on the UI. It's either you have something which is fully responsive, a bit too much to the point where it becomes a killer for the performances, because yes, UI is costly and can be very costly. Or you come up with a good architecture when it comes to the UI, so you update it at the right moment, not too often, and without any issue. And with some good shaders as well. Because yes, then you also have to struggle a bit with how it renders, and you kind of have to approach. One is based on textures, like manually authored texture. And then you discover that, oh, wait, but the UI, it's just quads, so triangles drawn on the screen. And those quads are, well, rendering textures. But it's tied to a certain DPI. And where this DPI is written in Unreal Engine. So a good thing is, since Unreal Engine 5, they finally made it a parameter in the product settings. But back then, to know the native DPI of Unreal Engine, which was 96, you had to dig in the source code. And it's very funny to see that some games shipped with textures with the wrong DPI, and you could clearly see that's because there was some blur between the fonts and the textures. And it's, again, something you can totally overlook, not really think about, or just realize it, but at the very last minute, because, well, nobody took the UI topic very seriously. Or nobody really thought about checking the DPI for the reason about why the textures are blurry in the UI in the game. So some things might look and sound a bit easy, but actually it's kind of an iceberg of complexity. But same, it's super interesting.